your next client is probably already in your ecosystem. And there's a very simple rule when it comes to business. The person or the business that has the most amount of conversations wins. So if you want to have more conversations via chat and you want to make more sales via chat, then you actually just need to give your audience opportunities to opt in. Now, there are 3 key mistakes that people make when it comes to selling. Number 1 is presenting the solution too early. Mistake number 2 is giving way too much detail. And then mistake number 3, one of my early mentors said something very, very simple. And he said, Dan, the person that has the most amount of sales just simply puts out the most amount of offers. With the confirmation stage, we're looking for 4 green lights. Number 1, do I clearly understand what they want? Number 2, do I understand what is stopping them or getting in their way? Number 3, welcome to a solo episode of Profit Made Simple. My name is Dan Henderson, and today I'm going to be sharing how you can sell more prospects into your business via chat. Now, selling via DM or message is a very particular skill, and it is becoming even more important. And the biggest reason is that younger generations, Gen Zs and millennials, prefer to communicate via chat. They don't want a phone call. They don't want to be called relentlessly like the older generations, but rather they'd like to communicate in their own time via DM on Instagram or WhatsApp or even on Facebook. Now, the way that we sell via chat is distinct and different to how we sell on the phone or in person. I think one of the key things is that your next client is probably already in your ecosystem. They're already watching your stories or engaging in your posts, or they're following you, yet you just haven't created an opportunity for a conversation. And there's a very simple rule when it comes to business. The person or the business that has the most amount of conversations wins. And so today's episode is really twofold. The first half is, how can we create more opportunities for you to have more conversations? How do we utilize our socials so we can have more dialogue? And secondly, once that dialogue is open, what process do we follow so we have the best chance of converting that conversation into a paying client? Now, a few little disclaimers here. I want to talk about what sell via chat is not, right? Sell via chat is not just jumping into someone's inbox uninvited. I know we've all been there, and it's the worst, all right? We're propositioned by someone we don't know. They're asking us to buy their product or service, and there's no relationship whatsoever. That's not how we want to do business. Sell via chat is also not manipulating someone so they do something against their will so we get our result. It's also not sending big blocks of text, but rather it's about how to have a really coherent, nice conversation with somebody. And it's also not using robotic scripts, but it's really tailoring the messages to what the other person says and needs. Now, I said this episode is going to be split in 2 parts. Part 1, I'm going to talk about all the opportunities there are. And when I shared this with our fitness profit community and all of our amazing members, it really opened their eyes that there are opportunities in their business right now that they weren't even aware of. Their next client is so much closer than they think if they just follow the strategies and tactics that I'm going to share with you today. And then the second part will be, how do we have this conversation that uncovers need, that builds gap, and then ends up resulting in either one of 2 things happening. We book a consult or a gym tour generally face-to-face, or we sell them into an intro-level product. Now, sell via chat works for face-to-face businesses and online businesses. And in fact, it's how we do a lot of our sales at Fitness Profit. So it's something we're very well versed in and something that we've been doing for a long period of time. So let's talk about how to have more conversations. And there's really both inbound and outbound. And let me talk through the two different categories. So inbound, you've got your direct messages, you've got people that reply to your stories, you have people that have replied to your polls that you might be running on your stories, you have people that are opting in for your lead magnet or replying to hand raiser posts or just engaging in the content itself. So you're putting all of these things out there and people are interacting, they're sending messages, they're commenting, they're playing a big part in your socials. Then we have outbound, and this is for people that are new followers. So we send them a message once they become a follower. It is for story viewers, post engagement, it's previous inquiries, and it's past clients and members. So if you want to have more conversations via chat and you want to make more sales via chat, then you actually just need to give your audience opportunities to opt in. And this is what we call hand raiser posts. And they're opportunities for your clients to interact and engage with your content. Now, one of the most effective ways is just simply polls. Right now, spring is only a few weeks away. And we might put a poll, are you looking to improve your health and fitness leading into spring? You know, something very, very basic. I'm sure you can create something a little bit more captivating and engaging than that. And you might have yes or no. Or you might ask a poll, hey, what's the biggest thing stopping or preventing you right now from exercising consistently? And it might be no plan. It might be motivation. It might be busyness. It might be a previous injury. And you get them to respond on the poll itself. Now, based on the response, you can then reach out to that person. Hey, I saw that you're currently struggling with motivation right now when it comes to training regularly. How long have you been feeling like that? When was the last time you felt motivated about exercising and training? So we're not trying to sell. As you can see, I'm just asking an open-ended question to begin a conversation. I'm not going, hey, I can help you with your motivation. Just go and do my challenge or go and do my new product or service. Buy my stuff. I'm not doing that. I want to have a dialogue and see if I'm actually in a position to help. So polls are a great hand raiser. The other one is 2 steps, where you actually create something of value and you give it to your clientele. And so it might be, hey, look, I just created a nutrition guide with 10 amazing, delicious, healthy recipes that you can make in 10 minutes or less. Would you like a copy? And anyone that says yes, you obviously send the guide or the resource. Really easy to do given AI functionality. They can create those ebooks in like no time. And you send the guide and then you just ask, hey, what's the biggest challenge you have around preparing healthy food right now? And again, we begin a dialogue itself. So that's what we call a 2-step, where you give something of value. And then the first one was the poll. Next one would just be inviting people in. Hey, I've got a spring transformation challenge and I'm looking for 5 people that would like to feel fitter, healthier, stronger over the next 30 days. If you're interested, drop me a fire emoji, right? Or comment with a fire emoji. Again, you can get these a little more compelling and persuasive. And people that opt in, you're then going to start a conversation. You're not just pitching your product, but it's just like, hey, thank you so much for, responding to my post. How long have you been thinking about improving your health and fitness leading into spring for? Or what are you currently doing when it comes to your health and exercise? And we're just starting that conversation. And so the biggest thing that I want you guys to do as listeners, people watching this, is to have more conversations. And to do so, you need to have regular hand raises. So I would be incorporating at least 1 to 2 polls in your social media content each and every week. I would be doing a 2-step resource each and every week. I would be doing an offer to your audience similar to that format that I shared before, a 5-1-30. I'm looking for 5 people, 1 result over 30 days. You can switch those around at least once a week. One of my early mentors said something very, very simple, yet it still applies today and it's still very profound. And he said, Dan, the person that has the most amount of sales just simply puts out the most amount of offers. They're putting out offers. They're inviting people to work with them. And so that's what I want you to do. I want you to commit to at least 4 different hand raises each and every week. So that's the first part. The second part is putting out regular, engaging content. And if you have a look at our bookings and you have a look at our content, there is a strong correlation. When Dan is on fire with the content, putting out regular content, putting a lot of time and energy into making sure that it's really engaging, then our conversations skyrocket, and as do our bookings. And so you've got your hand raisers on one side and then just your regular content on the other side. And if you haven't watched it, we've got a previous episode where I share how to use AI, the type of content that you should create, and the 4 different posts you need to do each and every week. If you do that consistently, it's going to open up more opportunities. But something really simple that we can do as well is we can take our best performing content. It might be a reel, it might be a slider, it might be a post. And we take our best performing content and we give it a very small boost. Now, you don't boost on the app because Apple is going to take a big clip of the ticket, but you go onto Instagram on your web browser. You're going to do a very small boost around a population that is your target demographic. So people that live in close proximity that have the same demographic profile as your perfect client. You're only going to put a few dollars a day, $2 to $3 a day. And the call to action is to visit your Instagram profile. Now, a couple of things will happen here. Number one, if you've got a really good link, one link, all right, not multiple links on your profile with a really good intro offer, you're going to get more of those intro offers taken by your followers. The second thing that you're going to have is you're going to have more followers. And new followers are another tremendous opportunity for you to create a conversation or dialogue. So if someone follows you, every person that follows you needs a direct message. And that direct message should be, hey, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate the support. Are you here for the content or are you looking for some help with a health and fitness goal? And then that creates, again, an opportunity. Now, I'm not going to say every new follower is going to reply. The reality is not. The reality is about 10% of your new followers are actually going to engage in a back and forth conversation. But if you're driving new followers by amplifying your best content, putting out really good, consistent content, then that should open up at least a couple of new conversations for you each and every week. The other opportunity is to communicate with people that are engaging in your content. And you just start by appreciating them because you are grateful. Hey, John, thank you so much for engaging in my content and supporting it. I noticed that you commented about my 3 best exercises for back pain. Are you currently experiencing back pain right now? And again, the conversation begins. And so just to recap, we're going to proactively put out hand raises each and every week. You're looking for at least 4 of these hand raises every single week. That's going to start a host of conversations. So that's the first thing we want to do. Second thing we want to do is we want to DM and message every new follower without exception. Third thing we want to do is we want to engage in conversations with people that are commenting on our posts. And you can also do this with people that like your posts or even watch your stories as well. And it's kind of like the people that comment are number 1, number 2, the people that like or love, and then number 3, the people that are watching, maybe not actually engaging in the content itself. And so based on all of these, you're going to have so many wonderful opportunities to have those conversations. Now, you can use some software to make this easier. ManyChat is absolutely superb. So say that welcome DM message. You don't need to actually send it every time yourself. You can have ManyChat set up and that can do it for you. You could have your virtual assistant do this on your behalf. So all of this doesn't take much time. And that's what we do in our business. With your 2 steps, similarly, if you're saying comment guide and you've put together a wonderful ebook or recipe guide or exercise guide, again, ManyChat can send it on your behalf. And there is a free version of ManyChat that you can take advantage of before moving to the paid subscription. So there are all the different ways now that we're having conversations. And I'm really confident this will open the floodgates and you'll be having 10, 20, 30 more conversations each and every week. Now, the second part of this podcast is, well, how do we actually have these conversations in a really effective way? And I've already given some hints and some clues. It's not about trying to sell your stuff. It's not about trying to send big blocks and coerce them into a product or anything like that. It's about just asking great questions, showing a real interest, making sure they're very open-ended questions as well. The other opportunity you have once you start opening up lots of conversations and people are coming back to you is to actually return to those conversations. So it might be, hey, John, you previously expressed an interest in our, Healthy and Strong program. Is that still important to you? Or are you still interested in improving your health and fitness? So not only looking at creating new conversations, but re-engaging your old conversations is pivotal. Now, I've got a 4-stage system for the chat itself, and I'm going to walk through each one of those 4 stages. So stage number 1 is engage. Now, with engage, we want to make the messages very short. So again, it's just like we're having a conversation with a friend at the bar. I'm not going to go on these long monologues during that conversation, nor should we send large chunks of text that look like War and Peace when it's in the DMs themselves. They're going to be short. They're going to be personal. There's going to be some context and there's going to be some relevance. And so what I mean by that is it might be, hey, Julie, thank you so much for voting on our poll. You identified lack of motivation as the key reason for not exercising and training right now. How long have you been lacking motivation? Or what's the hardest part for you right now when it comes to exercising regularly? Okay, just opening up that conversation in the engage side. That's all we need to do. Make it short, sharp, personal, ask great questions. That's the skill right there. The next stage in our conversation framework is qualify. Does this person actually need our help? Because it goes without saying, we don't want to position our product or services to anybody that doesn't need it. We need to really be very clear. Can I help this person transform and change their life? And so we have to ask questions to help us understand whether we can do so. And so the framework that I have on this is the A-B gap framework. So A is all about what they are currently doing or their current position. What are you currently doing to improve your health and fitness? What are you currently doing for exercise right now? What are you currently doing to eat healthier? All right. So understanding where they are now, and then we want to understand where they would like to be in the future. So what goals do you have for your health and fitness? If I could wave a magic wand and it's in 6 months' time, how would your health and fitness look different? All right. So A, where they are, B, where they want to be. Then we've got to really understand the gap. Now, a very key piece of advice that I've shared on previous podcasts, particularly when it comes to sales, is if we tell them they doubt it, if they say it, it's true. So I need to ask questions that help them identify that there is a gap. I can see it. And if I just say, oh, well, all you need to do is train 4 times a week and track your macros and we can help you do that, they're not going to be sold on that. What they need to do is actually realize it for themselves. And so the way that they can do so is through the questions that we ask. So questions like, what is preventing you from achieving those health and fitness goals? How long has this been happening? What's the most frustrating part about this? These are all questions that just peel the layers of the onion back and help them realize themselves. I've got a host of these questions that I've put together. I've collated. I've put all these frameworks in a guide. So you can just look to this every time you have a conversation. And if you'd like that guide, make sure that you reach out to me on social media. You can follow me at Coach Dan Henderson, just comment guide. I'll get that across to you. It's about 6 pages of all the questions you should ask at each different stage of this sell by chat flow. Now that we've qualified them, the next stage, before we move on to the next stage, just a very simple framework for you to remember. And this is all in this guide that I am giving you, but it's simply a question. They're going to give you an answer. You're going to acknowledge that answer, and then you're going to ask another question. So let's just say, I'd like to lose, 5 kilos in the next 6 months. That's what they say. And you just go, I really appreciate you being so honest and sharing that with me. That reminds me of one of our clients, Julie. She's just lost 10 kilos in the last 6 months, and she was in a very similar position to yourself. How long have you been considering weight loss as a goal? So question, acknowledge and relate it, and then back to your question. It's a very simple framework and flow during this qualify stage. And the qualified stage is absolutely critical. And what a lot of people do wrong here is that they rush it. We don't want to sound like we're interrogating. We want to make sure that it's a nice, smooth conversation, but we can't transition it to the next stage until we have our 4 green lights. Now that we've really feel like we've uncovered the goal, very clearly identified that there is a significant gap, but more importantly, they have identified that there is a significant gap, we then have the confirmation stage. The confirmation stage will move them to one of 2 outcomes, and you need to be really clear about what these are. Number 1, it's about booking a face-to-face appointment. This could be an assessment. It could be a gym tour. It could be a consultation that you have on site. If you're an online coach, it's a consultation that happens via Zoom. So that's outcome number 1. Outcome number 2 is actually giving them the opportunity to purchase a low barrier offer. It might be $7 for 7 days, might even be 7 days for free. It might be 14 days for $14. It's something seamless and easy for them to take advantage of. And you're simply just going to give them the link so they can do so. You need to choose which of those 2 paths you're going to take. Now, can you sell higher ticket via DM? Absolutely. A number of our clients are. But I would make it easier on yourself and choose which one of those 2 paths are you going to take, because it's much easier for you to do so. Once we're confident that the prospect is ready for our either consult or purchase, we're going to mirror back to them what they said. Now, mirroring is very important in sales, whether it's via the phone, whether it's in person, but also via chat. And this comes from Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, one of the greatest sales books or just books on communication you'll ever read. And a mirror is simply just repeating back. So Julie, just so I understand, you'd like to lose 5 kilos within the next 8 weeks. This is something that you've considered for the last 6 months, and the time is now because you've got XY event happening. Have I understood that correctly? So you're repeating back everything they've shared with you. And when you mirror, people feel understood. And that's the key. Now, with the confirmation stage, we're looking for 4 green lights. Now, the 4 green lights are this. Number 1, do I clearly understand what they want? I can't move forward by presenting the solution unless I understand what they want. Number 2, do I understand what is stopping them or getting in their way? Number 3, do they recognize that something needs to change? And number 4, have they indicated that they are open to help? Only when I get those 4 green lights will I move forward with the actual presentation of the booking schedule or the link to purchase the product itself. And stage number 4 is the convert. Now, if you're using a booking link, and I highly recommend this, if you're an online coach doing a Zoom presentation, or if you're organizing an assessment or a gym tour, you simply acknowledge, thanks so much, Julie. Based on everything you've shared with me, I believe we're in a position to help. The next step would be to book a gym tour with me personally on a day and time that suits you best. I'll share my booking link below and we can help uncover whether our program is going to be the right fit for you. Would you be open to that? You've always got to ask for permission. Permission-based selling establishes trust, and it also gives them autonomy, and autonomy is key in a sales process. Once you get the confirmation, you say, perfect, I'm going to grab the link now, and then you want to micromanage this moment. Here's the link. Please choose a day and time that suits you best. I'm going to leave the chat open to just make sure that you can find something that's suitable for you. If by any chance you can't, let me know and I'll find some alternatives. And so you're literally there, what we call tucking them into bed at this point in time and making sure that they're actually following through with the next step. Now, if you are making a direct sale, so that's the alternative, again, recommend it. Based on everything you've shared with me, Julie, I believe our 14 days for $14 would be the next best step. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience our classes, our coaches, and to start seeing some progress towards X, Y, and Z. Would you like me to send the link so you can take advantage of that? Now, there are 3 key mistakes that people make when it comes to selling via chat. And so I get to review the screenshots, and this is what I see time and time again. Number 1 is presenting the solution too early. And we can quite often mistake some of the messages as buying signals, and we send the solution straight away. And then we lose them. We've got to build up the gap. So we really need to understand what they want, what their goals are they open to help, and what is getting in the way. Mistake number 2 is giving way too much detail. So you start sharing your timetable, every pricing and packaging option, all your different offers, your company history, information about all your coaches, and you just simply overwhelm the prospect at that point in time. Remember, too much information makes the brain choke. So we want to make it simple. We want to make it easy. And we just want to be concise and coherent with our comms, short and sharp, and just give them what they need. And then mistake number 3 is all around price. So quite often our prospect will ask around price very early on in the message conversation. Sometimes it's the first message. How much does it cost? Sometimes it's very early. Now, a lot of the time they're doing this because they don't know what else to ask. And one of the key mistakes, actually there's 2 key mistakes that people will make at this phase is number 1, they will just blurt out the price. Here's all of our prices. And they'll give every single price of their product, right? Doesn't help them. Second thing that they'll do is they'll avoid the question entirely. And this just frustrates the prospect. They're like, I asked you a question and you've just ducked and weaved it. And so you want to acknowledge the question and then you want to open up the conversation into a dialogue based on how much support you need. Based on everything that you've shared with me, I'd like to ask you a couple more questions so I can understand which one of these services would suit you best. How does that sound? And again, create the vehicle for more conversations. Now, one of the things that we see in sales, not just in chat sales, but phone sales as well, is that people give up far too early with the prospect. And I can't tell you how many people have joined our program and have been in it for several years because of the follow-up systems we have in place. And so there's 4 different follow-ups that I'm going to share with you today. Again, these are all in your guide as well. So if you're listening to this driving or walking or running, don't worry. Every single one of these is in your guide. So if you've sent your booking link or you've sent a link for a product and the chat's just gone quiet, then you need to reopen that conversation. Don't think that they're not interested. They're just busy or you got them in the middle of something. So the way to do so is, did you manage to find a time that worked? All right, just open that up. You can give value responses. So I was thinking about that back pain that you mentioned, and I've actually got 3 great exercises that I feel would help you. Here's a video of each one. And also, I was thinking about Tom, and he had very similar symptoms, and this is what he's now doing, and share his results. So that's a value-based response. So we've got a reopening, we've got a value-based response. The third response that we have is more of a direct. Yeah. Are you still interested in improving your health and fitness? Is this something that you'd still like to do? And then the last one is what we call our close the loop. No pressure either way. Is this something you're still interested, or should I close the loop on this for now? So there's a lot of information. I've given you a lot of different strategies and tactics to open up more conversations. I've given you a 4-stage system between engage, qualify, confirm, and then convert on how to have the chats themselves. Let's turn this into something really practical that's going to help you in your business today. This is my challenge to you. Set 15 minutes aside. That's it. 15 minutes a day. And in that 15 minutes, you're going to start 5 new conversations. And you've got so many different ways that you can now do so. You're going to follow up 5 conversations. People that have engaged with you in the past, maybe ex-clients, people that are engaging in your content. Then you're going to respond to everybody that is engaged in one way or another. It might be a poll, it might be a post in your content, and you're going to follow up every single one of those. So you're going to do 5 conversations, brand new, 5 conversations, follow up, respond to anybody and everybody that's engaged in your content, and you're going to prioritize 15 minutes a day. Don't find it, prioritize it. Where in your day can you do this? And I guarantee you do this 5 days a week, 75 minutes, you're going to end up with new clients and more prospects, and this is going to help your business grow and flourish. And that's what I want for you more than anything else. So if you missed it, I've put together a great guide. You don't need to do anything. I'm just going to send it across for you. It's all yours. It's got every single template. It's got this framework in a lot more depth and detail than what I've shared with you on today's episode, and it's all yours. So just at Coach Dan Henderson, find me and say, send me the Sell via DM guide. If you're on YouTube, just put it in the comments and we'll make sure that comes across to you as well. If you got value from today's episode, and I hope you did, it's a much more practical, tactical episode than some of our ones lately, then please let me know. Please comment, subscribe, or leave a review. And if you're looking for more help growing your fitness business, growing the profitability, the impact, and the freedom that you derive from it, then jump onto my profile at Coach Dan Henderson, watch our VSL, and you'll see how we can transform your business with just a few simple strategies so you can have a far bigger impact in this great world. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching.